Welcome back to Fruitful Living. I'm Dawn, and today we begin Phase 2 of the Garden Audit, Pest Control. We've worked on our soil, but now we have to protect what's growing from outside invaders. Today we're talking about the locusts of gossip. These are the small, often harmless sounding conversations that can swarm a community and eat away at the trust before we even realize it. In nature, locusts are devastating because they travel in swarms and consume everything green in their path. Gossip is exactly like that. It often starts with, "Did you hear?" Or, "I probably shouldn't say this, but..." In a prayer group, it could sound like, "I'll pray for her. What's going on?" Remember, God knows all. If anyone ever asks you to pray for someone else, simply pray. You do not need to know any more details. This can feel like connection or sharing, but it's actually destruction. It devalues people who aren't in the room and plants seeds of suspicion in the minds of those who are. When we participate in gossip, we are letting pests into our own garden that devour the fruit of kindness and goodness. It reminds me of the verse in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 11. And to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life that attends to your own business and work with your hands, just as we instructed you. Side note here, Silas and Timothy were traveling with Paul when the letters to the Thessalonians were written. That's why he writes we. So for today's great exchange, we are swapping the locusts of gossip for the shield of discretion. Discretion is the wisdom to know what to say, who to say it to, and most importantly, when to keep your mouth shut. It's choosing to be a safe space for people's troubles, traumas, or turmoils. Look at the warning in Proverbs 16:28. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. And Proverbs 20:19 gives us very practical advice. A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much. The Bible is clear. The way we handle information about others determines the health of our relationships. Discretion acts as a barrier around our garden, keeping the pests of conflict and division out. Another verse I was studying, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters. It was intriguing to me that a busybody or a gossiping person, all up in other people's matters, was alongside murderers and thieves and evildoers. Let's read this verse in its context. The Apostle Peter is writing to God's elect, listed in 1 Peter 1:1, those having been obedient to Jesus. He explains that we should expect to suffer, that we should be ready and willing to suffer for Christ, just as he did for us. I'm just going to read chapter 4, verses 12 through 16, but I highly recommend you read the whole chapter. Dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted because of the name of Christ, you are blessed, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests on you. If you suffer, it should not be as a murderer or a thief or any other kind of criminal, or even as a meddler. However, if you suffer as a Christian, do not be ashamed, but praise God that you bear that name. Here is your 60-second garden task for today. I want you to use the gatekeeper test for your words. Before you share something about someone else, ask 3 questions. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary for this person to hear? If it fails even one of those, choose the shield of discretion and let the conversation stop with you. Say, Lord, help me be a protector of others' reputations today. Let my garden be a place of safety, not a breeding ground for whispers. Proverbs is a book of wisdom. Let's go through a few nuggets of wisdom from the Proverbs. Proverbs 1:4. To give prudence to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. Proverbs 2:11. Discretion will preserve you, understanding will keep you. Proverbs 5, verses 1 and 2. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Lend your ear to my understanding, that you may preserve discretion and your lips may keep knowledge. Proverbs 11:13. A talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is of a faithful spirit conceals a matter. Proverbs 11:22. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a lovely woman who lacks discretion. Proverbs 19:11. The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. And finally, Proverbs 26:20. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. And where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. Thank you for joining me for day 5 of the Garden Audit. I hope you feel the peace that comes with a quiet, discreet spirit. Join me Monday for episode 6, where we deal with the poison of sarcasm and harshness. Until then, stay fruitful.